Obviously, we had the technical difficulties. Yep, just click got it, folks, to know that it is being recorded. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join us for today's webinar on river cruising. Before we get started, I believe everyone is muted, which is great. Thank you so much for that. We're used to muting and unmuting nowadays with, since the pandemic, Zoom has become part of our lives. So I think we're good there. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can enter them in the chat, and we will monitor the chat over time. If we can answer those at the end, or everybody could unmute at the end, and you can ask your questions as well. So first of all, my name is Ira Gross from Crave Getaways Travel, and we're so excited to have two fabulous executives from Avalon Waterways with us to discuss what makes river cruising so special. So, whether you're new to this type of vacation or if you're a seasoned cruiser, I think you'll find today's presentation educational, informative, and I hope fun. You'll have the opportunity to learn what makes river cruises unique from traditional ocean sailing, and we'll also discuss the Avalon Waterways difference. What's different about an Avalon Waterways river cruise versus some of the others you may have heard of? To keep things light, we've slotted in some photos also from a recent cruise that Sue and I took on the Rhine this past May. She'll probably kill me when she sees a few of these photos, Sue. So you were sleeping when I created those slides, Sue. So you can
Sue,
only
I
blame
looked at
yourself.
them. They're fantastic. Don't worry.
um, and finally, we'll also talk to you a little bit about an amazing opportunity we put together with the Avalon folks for a sailing in June of 2024 on the Danube. It's already discounted, but we're also offering an additional webinar discount tonight for everyone who's in attendance, and I guess who couldn't get on, but we'll make sure that they get the replay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So stay tuned for details as we go through the presentation. We do have a slide up now, but we could hit that at the end where it may make a little more sense, I think, that we could talk about that piece of it. So at this point, I would like to introduce two very important people who really made tonight's webinar possible. First, Francina Mason. Francina is our business development manager for Avalon Waterways and Globus family of brands. Avalon is owned by Globus, and Francina lives in New Jersey and is responsible for the Metro New York, Long Island, New Jersey, and Delaware region. She's been in the travel industry for over 30 years. And Francina, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm also introducing Denise Friend. Denise is originally from Pennsylvania and did something I'm so jealous about. She escaped the winter in 1997 and moved to Florida.
Yes.
She previously worked with Amtrak, loves big trains,
Yeah.
loves trains, and Denise has been with the Globus family of brands at Avalon for 24 years. So we have a real seasoned pro with us today who's going to bring us through a big portion of this presentation. Her last river cruise was on the Moselle, and she also cruised the lower Danube, which is great because we're going to be talking a little bit about the Danube today. So
Mhm.
with that, I'm going to turn things over to Denise to get things started. And thanks everybody for joining us tonight.
You bet. Thank you, Ira, for having me. And we are so sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. We have a brand new account for Francina, so I think something wasn't set up quite correctly. So we apologize. And technology in the world of Zoom these days, right? So thank you. You guys all did great on the fly with the new link. So thank you. So I'm Denise Frayne, and thank you, Francina, for having me. And thank you, Ira, for putting a group together on Avalon. Yes, I escaped the winter. There was a crazy blizzard in 96, and I went, you know what? I have to go. So I've been down in Florida since 97 and with Globus, like Ira said, for 24 years. So I was with Globus before we even came out with Avalon. But I'm so excited to be talking to you guys about the Danube. And like Ira said, we'll talk about why river cruising? Ira, do you by any chance know how many people on here are new to river cruising and haven't been on a river cruise? Do you think it's most of
I think it's most. I think most of
most?
the
Okay.
people on right
Okay.
now have not been on before. I can tell you one
Beautiful.
person has one planned at the moment,
Okay.
uh, but others I don't believe have been on river cruises, at least for the folks who are on at the moment.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. So the slide that you see right now, you will also see at the end. But this just kind of gives you the dates. It's June 12th to June 19th, and it's on the Danube, and it's on the Avalon Envision with 166 passengers on board. Like Ira said, the difference between big ship cruising and river cruising right there is your first one. 166 people compared to, I don't even know what the max is right now. What is it, like 6,500? So that is one of the huge differences with river cruising, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Come on, slides. There we go. So just a little bit about Avalon Waterways. And like Iris said, we are a part of the Globus family of brands. Globus started in 1928. So we are a family-owned company. We pretty much go everywhere. So if you do want a land tour, talk to Ira and Sue about that. And we came out with Avalon. It'll be 20 years next year, which time flies because when I started with Globus, we only had land tours. So Avalon will be celebrating 20 years next year. And what we're going to do is go on board first, kind of talk about river cruising and what to expect while you're on board. And then we'll talk a little bit about the itinerary. And this slide, see, Sue, it's not, we're good. So this is Ira and Sue's photo from when they were on the Rhine. When did you go, Ira? When did you guys go on the Rhine?
It was May.
It
It
was
was over
May.
Memorial Day. Yep.
Okay. I was trying to look at your photos and try to tell when you guys were there. So you'll see it's easy breezy with embarkation. You just walk on, give them your passport info, take your key, and they take you to your cabin and you're good to go. So it's very easy. You're not waiting in any crazy lines. I know the last big ship I did, I was waiting in quite a long line. And then another one I breezed right on. So you just never know. But it's so easy on Avalon with our river cruises. So a little bit about river cruising and the difference with Avalon. So, and I know you guys, even though you haven't been on a river cruise, you see a lot of the commercials that are out there. And just a couple things that make us different. Our cabins are larger. So what we decided to do in 2011, we decided to change the design of our ships. So if you ever hear me saying panorama suite, it started with the panorama. So what we decided to do is change the design of our cabins. And what you'll see here on the right-hand side, this is what we decided to do. We decided to angle the wall behind the bed a little bit. And what that did is it opened up the bathroom. It's a hotel style bathroom, and it allows us to have the bed facing the sliding glass door. It is an 11-foot sliding glass door and 7 feet of it open up. Now, all of our ships are the same. So that is another big difference with Avalon is that all of our ships are pretty identical except for how many people are on board. So when you look at this picture on the right-hand side, if you're on one of our competitors, their cabins come up right to the bottom of the bed. So what we decided to do is have 200 square feet of complete living space. It's such a small little change, but it's such a big thing. And it's one of our key differences with Avalon are these beds facing out. When you look at the picture on the left, these are the locks. You know, you weren't able to go from river to river back in the day. And back in the 80s, they put in all these locks in place. So now you can cruise from river to river. And it's a pretty cool technology to watch. You know, you can go up on the top deck and you can watch this. You're either going up and continuing down the river or you're going down. And the reason that we talk about these locks is you can see these ships can only be so wide. We take up every little inch. So that's why we reconfigured our cabins the way we did. Some river cruise companies have a balcony, but you'll see if you put a balcony on, then it has to deviate from your cabin or from other areas of the ship. So these ships can only be so long and they can only be so wide. And this is the picture that Ira and Sue had from the lock. So it's a pretty cool thing that you go through and you get to watch. And some of the rivers like the Danube, you have quite a few locks that you go through. It's funny, after like the fifth lock, you're like, it's another lock again, but you never get tired of it, really. It's a really cool thing to watch going up and down the river. Up there's Sue. So there's the cabin. They were in cabin 214. And again, panorama suite, because that's when we changed the design, was with the panorama. So you'll see it's 200 square feet, beds facing out. So you'll see there's a sofa there, there's a chair there. We call it an open air balcony. There's a flat screen TV. Beds are a little bit higher, so you can put your suitcases underneath. Refrigerator in there, lots of space. So for those of you that maybe travel with a friend and you want to separate the beds, there is plenty of space. I travel with some of my girlfriends sometimes, and trust me, there's enough closet space to take out everything in your closet and hang up with the hangers. I was just in Europe this past week, and one of the hotels that we were in literally had 3 hangers. And we're like, what? So plenty of hangers, plenty of space, plenty of drawers. The cabins are really nice for 2 people. And again, there you go with the beds facing out. I mentioned that we do have refrigerators on board or in the cabin. They are stocked, but just so you know, they're not like, equipped like Las Vegas where you just touch it and you get charged. Some people ask for everything to be removed from the refrigerator. They can do that. If you're like me and you like chocolate covered waffles and you want to stock up your refrigerator, you can do that. Let's say medication needs to be refrigerated, you can put it in there. So we do have refrigerators on board. And again, there you see the sofa or the chair, and there's a sofa here. They're absolutely beautiful cabins. We also, between the cabins, have sound dampening walls, so you cannot hear the person next to you. Also, the nightstand there, we also have USB outlets. So all of our ships now also have that. And here are your bathrooms. These are larger than some hotel bathrooms. I have not managed to figure out how to pack with just a carry-on. I'm getting better. My suitcases are getting smaller and smaller. But if you're like me and you still travel with all your hair stuff and makeup and all that stuff, you have plenty of countertop space. There's also a shelf up there. There's actually a cabinet underneath. There are shower doors and not shower curtains. Big showers. You see the mirror. We use L'Occitane products. We don't have any plastic on board. We used to have L'Occitane where we handed out samples, but now it's L'Occitane that you squeeze out and we just refill that. So this just kind of shows you the open air concept of Avalon, that whole floor to ceiling window concept that we have in our cabin, and it is throughout the whole ship. I've been on some of our competitors and they're very boxy and a lot of walls. We don't have that. It's very sleek, modern. It's absolutely beautiful. And you'll see here in the main lounge, that whole floor to ceiling windows. We have one bar that is in the lounge. You'll see that cappuccino maker that's right there. There are 2 of those on the ship. One is in the club lounge and one is in the main lounge. That's all included. It's a cappuccino maker, hot milk for hot chocolate, lattes. That is the main lounge where there's a dance floor. It will fit all 166 people on board. Some of our competition has 190 people and they can't all fit in the lounge at one time. And that's actually the Parliament in Budapest where you guys are going. And you can see that from the lounge, and everywhere you sit, you have a view of the outside, which is nice. And there's the main bar. So this little area in the lounge, that's also the area in the back of the lounge where we have a light lunch and we also have a light dinner and tea time set up. So this is the back of the main lounge. That's where we use the area for the lunch and for the light dinner. And we'll talk a little bit about meals here. This is at the back of the lounge also. You can sit outside. And I don't have a picture of it, but we have a club lounge that's on the back of all of our ships. And again, that's where the cappuccino maker is. What's nice about the club lounge is that that's where the thrusters are of the ship. So we don't have any cabins at the back of our ship. So there's a buffer there where there's a bathroom, and there's also a storage area that has our bicycles, walking sticks, binoculars, all that good stuff. So we don't have any cabins back there. The club lounge looks just like this on the back of all of our ships. It has games, snacks, water. So we have refill stations on the ship because we're not using any plastic. So definitely bring a water bottle. We also give out water bottles, not plastic, and you can refill there. We also have, by the dining room, we also have a refill station. In the club lounge, we have flavored water. So also,
Flavored water was really good, by the way. Sorry to
isn't it
interrupt.
good? Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
man.
it's good. Yeah, it was, and it's not sugar, right? It had cucumber. So it's been a little while since I've been on there. I can't remember all the
Well,
flavors.
there was a cucumber one. It was bubbly and not bubbly. You had your choice. It was really good.
I know. It's good stuff, right? Also on all of our ships, so on this one, we will have an adventure host on board. He or she will do the bike trips, yoga classes. I remember when I did the Danube, I was on the top deck. We had yoga, we had a yoga class, and we were coming into Vienna, and the sun was going down. And I'm like, when you just have some of those moments, that was one of those moments. I'm like, I'm never going to probably do this again. This is pretty nice. The sun's going down, kind of pulling into Vienna, doing my little downward dog. So you have your adventure host that's on all the ships. And you can talk to the adventure host about, if you want to go for a bike ride, because you guys are going through the beautiful Wachau Valley. Also, they do the early morning walks, hikes, all that good stuff. So also, a difference between river cruising and big ship cruise. You dock, you get off, and you're right there. There's no crowds. There's no waiting in any lines. You don't have a ton of people, maybe a little bit more people in Vienna, but it's not going to be like when you're, pulling into Cancun or something like that, and you have thousands of people. So it's nice because you don't have all of those crowds. One thing also, you can start sooner, you can stay later. And we'll talk about this, but this itinerary, you can actually do a Prague extension before the cruise starts. You can also stay later if you want in Budapest, which I would highly recommend doing some doing some post if you have the time. And you would just get with Ira and Sue, and they can help you for any pre-nights or post-nights that you want to do. You could also add a land tour if you want. You're stopping in Budapest, you're ending in Budapest. You can add a land tour if you want. It's very easy to fly out of Budapest and go do something else after that. And also when you're looking at the dining room, same concept as the lounge. Everywhere that you sit, you have a view of the water, and it's open seating. We do have some tables you'll see that have two. You'll see it goes up to tables of 8. It's flex dining, so it's from 7 to 8:30. River cruising used to be a little bit more strict, like you better get there at 7 and not 7:05, but now it's flex, and you can come and go as you please. So for the meals, we have an early riser breakfast, then we have a buffet breakfast, and then for lunch, we have that lounge where we have a light lunch set up, and it's a great place to go for lunch. It's a little bit of what we have that's on the menu in the buffet. and we also have in the lounge. And then also we have tea time at 4 o'clock with some cookies and cake. And then dinner is the flex dining. And then we also have in the lounge a light dinner set up. If the weather's great, we're docked. We also have a cookout outside on the top deck. Also, beer, wine, refreshments are included for lunch and dinner. We have mimosas in the morning. And now happy hour is included, and it's 2 for 1 on select drinks. And we have some great drinks that are handcrafted for Avalon. So a lot of those are included in the happy hour. So Ira and Sue, you guys got a chance to take advantage of the happy hour, right? That was included.
We did. And it was
Yay.
a surprise. I didn't even know they had the happy hour when we were. It was our first river cruise, and I think it was fairly new. It was great. Most of the drinks that we chose, actually, almost all the drinks we chose were free. And
Nice.
wasn't just beer and wine. I had my gin and tonics in the afternoon. It was really nice. Great,
Good.
great experience. So yeah,
Yeah, well, the happy hour used to be happy hour. It used to be 2 for 1. And then in 2023, this year, we changed it. So now that happy hour is included. So there's a list of, a whole bunch of drinks that are included in the happy hour. So we talked a little bit here about the multiple menus and venues. So this here up on the top right, this is up on the top deck. So we'll have that little bistro on certain days. If you want to take a bike ride and you want a lunch, they'll pack you a lunch. The bottom left, this is on one of the ships. This is in the main lounge where we have the lunch and the dinner set up. Also room service. If you want some room service in the morning, it's also free. And you're making me hungry. I don't think I had dinner yet now that I'm looking at these pictures. The food is fantastic. It looks like you guys took advantage of tea time there in the middle, right?
every single day.
I love it.
Every single day.
The food is fantastic. If you, and just to talk a little bit about the food, if and I'm kind of a boring eater, to be totally honest. And sometimes I'm like, can I just have salmon tonight? And that's completely fine. You can order salmon, you could order beef, you could order chicken if you don't like what's on the menu. But we have all these different choices. And we also have an item on there that's called Avalon Fresh. So many years ago, we had these two brothers. They're called the Rank Brothers, and they have a vegan restaurant in Austria. So they helped us with our menu a little bit and came out with some healthier items. So you'll see it's labeled on the menu and it says Avalon Fresh. We have a lot of people that are, they're vegan or they're gluten-free. And what's nice that they do also is when you get on the ship, they have a meeting, you meet the chef, and let's say you are gluten-free or celiac, they will help you with what's on the menu, and they will come out and say, hey, this is what's on the menu. You can't eat this. You can eat this. And they actually take your picture and they put it in the kitchen. It's funny because we had somebody new that was on Avalon recently and said to me, oh my God, it was so nice. They had all the VIPs photos in the kitchen. And I go, oh no, those were the people with food allergies. So it's nice because they really do keep track. I cruised with somebody that was celiac, and I swear they were like stalking him, and they're like, here's some gluten-free crackers, here's some gluten-free cookies. So they really are mindful if you do have some food allergies, which is nice. And what's nice is because these rivers are all along these towns, it's all local, healthy items, all fresh, which is nice. We already talked about this. We have complimentary beer, sparkling wine, refreshments included for lunch and dinner. You also have those cappuccinos that you can hit the button and they're wonderful. They're also included. Happy hours now included. One thing also to remember about river cruising is we will not confiscate if you bring on bottles of wine. If you take a big ship cruise, you don't, they confiscate it and you don't get it until you're about to leave. So we allow you to bring on wine. If you plan on doing it, I would bring, a wine bottle opener because we do charge a corkage fee. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I was on board last year and these people brought, oh my God, this wine was so good. It was a local wine and they couldn't drink it all. And they just shared it with everybody in the lounge on the last night. All they ask is that you just don't bring it to dinner, just because we have some really great local wine that's included for dinner. You know, a lot of people, they'll maybe buy some bread and cheese, buy some wine. They'll go up to the top deck. They'll go back in the club lounge and, you know, eat some of the local food and drink some local wine. Also, we have bikes on board. So we have regular bikes on board. We do have e-bikes also. We have just 2 e-bikes. You know what? You guys were on actually more recent than I was. Do you guys remember if you had any more than 2 e-bikes on board?
There were 2. There were
There were
16
2.
regular bikes. There were
Okay,
16
good.
regular bikes and 2 e-bikes. We
Okay,
did take out
perfect.
regular bikes one afternoon. Yeah, it was fun.
Yes, good. You know, and you guys are cruising on this Walkout Valley. So my mother-in-law was a cyclist, and she said that is what got her hooked on cycling, was this Walkout Valley that you're on. And these paths are pretty flat. They go all along the river. It's absolutely beautiful. Some of the excursions do have bike excursions, like in Vienna. That is an excursion, but if you guys just want to hop on a bike and you want to go for a bike ride, you could do that. If you're feeling, you know, really active, you could always just hop on your bike and go to the next port. You know, I don't know how they're you know, these towns are not very far from each other, so you could also do that. A lot of these bike excursions, they either bring all these bikes to the ship or you go to the bike shop and they fit you for the proper bike. So it's a lot of fun. So also before you go, you'll get an email saying time to download your app. So what you'll do is you'll go on your phone, find the Avalon Go app, put in your invoice number, and up pops all your documents. And everything is in there, weather, currency converter. It's a great little app. I just used it because I was on a Globus tour last week and I used my app quite a bit. So if you guys don't mind, Ira and Sue, just talking a little bit about your experience on Avalon.
Sure. I'll start, and Sue, then maybe you can piggyback on it a little bit. Just remember to unmute.
I don't know
Um,
if I'm working.
you're working. We hear you.
Okay.
We hear you. Just like for these photos here, I mean, on the Rhine for the Rhine Gorge, and we're not going to be on the Rhine Gorge, but we saw tons of castles. And on the
Mhm.
top right, I kind of wanted to show a lot of people ask the question, are you far from shore? You know, and here's an example
Mhm.
of a photo that I took that really shows this woman with her arms spread out, almost touching each end, right? And this was you could almost touch the land, right? At least it seemed
Yeah.
that way with this photo. And you always can see the shore. There's nothing, people say, "Oh, I'm afraid of getting seasick." Well, you're probably not going to get seasick. Susan will talk about that in a second. She does get seasick, and there was absolutely no chance of that at all. So it was just a fabulous experience. We loved docking right in the port, wherever you were. Like you pretty much just got off and you were there for the most part. We did have 1 or 2 oddballs that we had to kind of take a bus, but other than
Mhm.
that, it was really, really just a fabulous experience, relaxing and casual. Sue, do you want to say something?
Uh, yeah, but you could finish. Go whatever you're saying.
Mhm.
Okay, I could
Sure.
talk about the food because I eat a lot more
Go
than
for it.
Ira
Go.
does.
Next slide. Food.
Oh, food. Yes. You know,
The food
yeah,
amazing.
go for it.
On the ship, but then of course off the ship, which we mostly ate lunch out. But the food on the ship was amazing, and I also want to just say that the staff on the ship was really fantastic. They're very upbeat, really helpful, just great enthusiasm, and you could tell that there's a nice core group that runs the ship.
Okay, now I'm really getting hungry. Now that I'm really looking at these pictures. So that's the thing about traveling. So I was just in Greece this past week. on a Globus trip, and I was addicted to the dolmites and the baklava and all the local food. And that's like a part of why we travel. Yes, you get to experience all the culture of these areas and the history, but a lot of it is the food, and even though like I'm in Florida, so I live near Tarpon Springs where we have all this Greek food, it's not the same. I thought it was, and then I'm like, oh no, it really is a lot better here. But that's a part of why we travel, right? And I mentioned like the refrigerator with the chocolate covered waffles. I'm addicted to chocolate covered waffles. And when I'm in Europe, I buy them and I put them in my refrigerator on the Avalon ship. But yeah, the food is fantastic on the ship, off the ship. All your meals are included, which is nice. Your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your tea time. So all your meals are included, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh yeah, more food. I love it. Oh,
Black Forest cake.
Black
Yep.
Forest cake. Nice. I love it. And that's one thing too, like you were mentioning, and I have a picture of the itinerary is, when you're cruising on these rivers, you dock, you get off, and you're right there. There may be, like you said, a couple oddball towns that you need a motor coach to, but for the most part, all the towns are right there. You have all these local guides that take you on these tours, and they live and breathe these destinations. They went to school for this. They studied archaeology, they studied history, and these towns are all just absolutely beautiful, and they bring it to life with their tour directing. Also, these local guides that you also have headsets. So the guide has a microphone, you have a bud in your ear, you charge them up at night so you could hear your guide. If you've been on a tour like maybe 30 years ago, we didn't used to have these. And now the range is very far. Trust me, you can go into a church and you can go to a store and you can still hear your guide. I have done it. I've shopped and gone into a church while the guide is walking and talking. So it's nice because you don't need to be right by the guide. You can fall back, you can walk ahead. But these guides, they love this, and they do this every day, and they either take you to their hometown or they live in the next town over. So they're all local guides.
And may I
And look
say
at,
one other thing, Denise? Just
yeah.
real quick about the guides. I found them to be amazing. Every single one of them was fabulous. And the groups they broke you down into were very
Mhm.
small. So
Right.
you didn't, I mean, even when you might have taken a bus tour to the Black Forest, you were broken up into groups. So like as you saw previously on those previous slides, when we were in
Hmm.
Strasbourg, France, maybe there were 10 people in our group. So it
Right.
really was nice. It was personal. If you wanted to use the earbud, you could. If you wanted to stay close to the guide, you didn't even need the earbud. So you
Yeah.
had the option. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that
No.
up.
Yeah. And that's a big difference too with Avalon is that, we have multiple excursions, which you'll see when I show you the itinerary, and the groups are small, which is nice. Oh,
Yeah.
I love these pictures. I love
And
it.
that was a Jewish history tour we took in Cologne.
Oh, nice. And you'll
And
see
she
like
was
on the
having a
bottom,
culture beer.
I love the
Sorry.
beer. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And then in the bottom left-hand side, you'll see, we dock right in town. And, sometimes, water levels, just to talk a little bit about it, sometimes you can have high water, low water, and sometimes you have to just pull over at some other area, and we can do that. And just to talk a little bit about high water, low water, because it's really good to talk about it because Mother Nature can happen on any vacation. I have been on big ship cruising where we bypass, one of our stops. But what we can do is if there's low water, high water, is let's say there's a meeting point, we do a ship swap. So you pack your stuff, we take your bags, put it on the next ship. You will be in the same cabin number, and it's easy peasy because all the ships are identical now. So you'll be in the same cabin, same style cabin, maybe just a different color scheme. We can take fuel out, lighten up the load a little bit to get down the river. So there are many things that we can do to get down the river. Sometimes we do need to alter the itinerary maybe a little bit, but that's what makes it fun. We make it so that you try to see everything you're supposed to see, but maybe we change things up a little bit. I was on last year and we couldn't go to one place. They gave us all euros and they said, here are some euros. Some of us took a gondola to a fort. Some people took the money and they did a castle tour. And it's nice because we handle this very well, and we're prepared for it. And we're very proactive with this. All right, so let's get to the good stuff, right? So here's the itinerary. It's June 12th to the 19th from Wilshofen to Budapest. I mentioned you can also do a Prague extension, which I do believe you two are doing, right, Ira?
Yes, we are. And another couple who actually, I think they're on tonight. I think they're planning on doing it as well. So hopefully people will join us on the pre, and we're
Good.
also going to stay another 1 or 2 nights for the post in Budapest as well.
Yeah, that's the thing with Budapest. You don't, you have a day in Budapest, but it's such a great town. I would highly recommend staying an extra day or two if you have the time. So when you look at the river, you'll see all these towns were built along the river because that's how transportation, how it was, and how they brought goods from town to town. So all these towns are built along the river. The ship docks, you get off, they divide everybody up, and like I was saying, the groups are very small, and you've got all of these walking tours, and we have all of these different types of excursions. That Walkout Valley is that region I was talking about, which has that beautiful area with some vineyards. And also, if you want to go for a bike ride, you could go for a bike ride along that Walkout Valley. So we're just going to go through this just a little bit. And what I'm going to show you are all the different types of excursions that you can take advantage of. Prague, that's that extension that you can do previous. You'll see you have guided sightseeing and you have the astronomical clock. So that clock is the 3rd oldest astronomical clock in the world. And that one is the oldest one that's still working. So we take a tour there. There's some other excursions that you can do. And then from the Prague extension, we take you to the ship. And we take you to the ship, usually in the afternoon. And then you have time that you can walk through town. We get you checked in and get you in your cabin. And then you start your itinerary. And then here's another picture. This is when you guys were on the Rhine. So you did Amsterdam, which is awesome. So you'll see it even in your picture here on the top right. You had a very small group, which was nice. And then Passau, that's one of the stops that we go on. And you're going to see, I have a picture of this ox, this little curve that we go on, which is famous for all of these oxbow, all of these photos that we have. And here's Passau. So this just gives you a snapshot of the different excursions. So active, you'll see one of the excursions that you can pick from is included. It says there, follow your Avalon host for hiking. And it goes on this trail down to the valley and on the Ilz River. Or join a guided city walk and you learn about the town and the city of 3 Rivers. And what you'll see too, when you look at the itinerary, it'll tell you if you're cruising at night or if you're docked at night. And then that afternoon, you're on your way to Linz. And then this is where you see a lot of the river cruise photos. I know we have a ton of photos of this, little curve that the ship goes on. So I was on the Moselle recently, and well, it was actually last year, time flies. And I have a picture of one of these curves that we did on the Moselle. And it's pretty cool because, you're cruising and then the ship is turning and it just makes for some really great photos and some great videos. And then here is Linz. I love this town. When I did the Danube, the ship is docked right in town. And this just shows you some of the excursions that actually in Linz, there's just one. It's a classic excursion. So it's highlighted in blue there, where there's an optional, but then above that is take a guided walk through the city's historic and beautiful sites along the shore of the Danube. So there is a optional that day. There are not a ton of optional excursions. Optional is an additional one that has a price or cost to it. So you have two choices. You have Salzburg, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And that is that whole Sound of Music. So if you love Sound of Music, that would be an excursion to go to, or Český Krumlov. I have to tell you, I have been to Český Krumlov. Oh my gosh. Have you guys been yet, Ira? Have you guys been to Český Krumlov in the Czech Republic?
Nope, we have not.
Okay. So it's totally up to all of you if you want to do one and which one you pick. I always tell people to do Český Krumlov. I absolutely fell in love with this place. I was on a land tour and I overnighted in Český Krumlov, and we all wanted to move there. This is Český Krumlov. It's just amazing. Český Krumlov, it's the southern Bohemian region of the Czech Republic. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And you can see from here, it has all these well-preserved, it's Gothic, it's Renaissance, and it's Baroque architecture. But I know a lot of people love the Sound of Music, which is the birthplace of Mozart. So you don't have to do either one of these. But if you're going to do one, I would say do Český Krumlov. But anyway, it's up to you. All right. So then you're traveling on. You've got some excursions to pick from that are included. There is a classic excursion, which is a walking tour. And then you also have another one that is the Melk Abbey, which I have not been in this yet, and I really want to do this. I have a picture of the Abbey. This Abbey was founded in 1089, and the monks have lived here for over 900 years. So that is included, or you've got another classic excursion that you can pick from. And then during this is when you go through that Wachau Valley on the river cruise. And this is just in some of the excursions here that you'll see. And then on your way to Dürnstein, you'll see there are two excursions that you can pick from. There is a hike where you can see the Wachau Valley, or there is a classic excursion, join a guided walk and hear about King Richard Lionheart, who was imprisoned in the castle during the Crusades. So you hear all about that, and you can pick either the active one or the classic one. You'll also see local entertainment. So what we do on board is you're usually during a week, you'll have 2 nights, maybe 3 nights of local entertainment coming on board. And then on the other nights, they play music. It's usually just music playing in the background. We'll do trivia night, karaoke. It's funny because river cruising is a little bit different. You know, you don't have that entertainment. You don't have the casino. Honestly, and Ira and Sue, you guys were on. Your days are pretty busy because some days there's 2 choices a day. You may be drinking a little bit more wine than normal because we call it the happy glass, where they keep on refilling your wine. So a lot of people are usually tired after dinner because let's say you're there until the end of dinner could be 9 o'clock. So we will have entertainment afterwards, but the bar will be open until the last person leaves, but it's very low key in the evening unless we have some entertainment coming on board. And here's that Wachau Valley I was talking about. You see that monastery, the abbey. You see some castles. It's absolutely beautiful. And here's Dernstein Castle. And that's where you learn all about King Richard the Lionheart. And that's where he was in prison and he was in this castle. And one of my favorite cities, Vienna. I honestly think this is one of the most beautiful cities. It's absolutely gorgeous. You have a lot of excursions to pick from. You have an active one. I did this. It's a bike ride through Vienna. It was absolutely beautiful. It's on the island. It's such a great bike ride. Also, there's a classic excursion. It's all about the Habsburg Empire. That's also a good one. Sometimes it's hard to choose, right? And then you'll also see another classic excursion after a short walk of Vienna. You go into Austria's largest museum, the Museum of Fine Arts. So those are the included excursions. There are some optional excursions you'll see here. There's Schönbrunn Palace, which is the formal imperial summer home of the Habsburg monarchy. I would do that if you want. I love Schönbrunn Palace. And then also you'll see there's an optional excursion if you want to go to the Royal Waltz concert. I also did that. It was another one of those moments where I go, oh, wait a minute. I am listening to the Vienna Waltz and I am in Vienna. Oh man, it was awesome. So you've got a lot to pick from in Vienna. So definitely check that out. These excursions you can pre-book before you go, or you can wait until you get there. The optional ones, I would highly recommend doing that before you go. You'll get an email that'll say time to book your optional excursion. If there's something that you really want to do, I would not wait because they can sell out. The included excursions, if again, there's something that you really want to do, I would definitely sign up. The included ones you can always swap out when you get on board. We're very like old school. You just cross your name out, put it on the next list. So easy peasy. But the optionals, like I said, there's something that you want to do, like the Mozart concert or Schönbrunn Palace or Český Krumlov, I would do that before you go. And here's the Imperial Palace. This is in Vienna. Here's the Vienna Opera House. So beautiful. St. Stephen's Cathedral. Just so you know, the Vienna Wafer Place is right by the cathedral. You need to get, it's all about the food, right? You got to get the real Vienna wafers, right? In Vienna, even though you can buy them at World Market, right? But you got to go to Vienna. This is the optional excursion to Schönbrunn Palace. It's absolutely beautiful. And the gardens are also beautiful. And here is where you can see and hear the Vienna Waltz in Vienna. And then there's also a stop in Bratislava. They have some great wine here if you want to bring it on board. All these stops, you have some great wine that you can buy. And you'll see you have a active excursion where you can go do a hike, or you have a classic walking tour of Bratislava. And then overnight, you cruise to Budapest. And I love this. That's actually the Hilton that you see here on the Pest side. And then here are some choices for Budapest. There is an active excursion where you can take a hike or a classic tour by coach and walking tour. And then we also have some optional excursions. If you have time, I would really recommend doing an extra day or two in Budapest. I know when I was there, we went into the museum. There's that Jewish museum that's there. It is fantastic. I don't know. Have you guys been yet, Ira and Sue? It's
I
amazing.
have. I went for my old job that I used to work, and I had about 4 or 5 days in Budapest. So
Oh,
had
nice.
the opportunity to stay. My favorite restaurant in the world is on the Buddha side, and we're definitely going to go there this time.
Oh, good.
As well as I love the Galert Spa, which is really, really
Oh,
amazing as well. So
yes.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of great things to do. So I do agree with you. Even though there is an overnight in Budapest, it would be great if you can spend the time. And I
Yeah.
should just say real quick, Denise, we are
Yeah.
planning an additional. So I traced my family roots in 2017 when I was there, and I hired a genealogist who's world renowned who lives there, and we basically traced my roots. But he's also a licensed tour guide, so
Oh,
we're going to hire
nice.
him for the extra day. We're going to hire him, and he's going to take us around to some of the places that we didn't hit on the tours with Avalon.
Oh,
So it'll be a little extra.
nice.
Whoever wants to come is welcome to join us on a special half day tour as well when we're there.
That's what I need to do. I need to because I'm Slovak and my family came over from Budapest, so I
Yeah.
should do the same, honestly. But like you said, there is so much to do there. I only had like I think one extra day when I went. I even did like a hop on hop off just to kind of get the lay of the land. There's that market that's right there where the ship docks.
Yeah.
That's great. That's in walking distance. So there's a lot to do. So I would, if you have the time, if you don't do the Prague, extension, maybe at least go in a day prior. And then definitely do Budapest. But if you have the time, I would definitely do the Prague extension and some extra time in Budapest. These are just a couple pictures from Budapest. And the Parliament building is amazing to see when it's all lit up at night. Here's the chain bridge. And then that's it. It's the end of the trip. But again, you could always do pre-nights and post-nights. Like Ira was saying in the beginning, there is a promotion. It's $1,000 off per person. So it's a pretty good promotion. And you have prepaid gratuities included. And we have $50 off per person if you guys book within 2 weeks after tonight. And oh, I forgot about the special bottle of wine. So you also have that. So because you're booking with Ira and Sue and Crave Getaways, you get the $1,000 off. You get the prepaid gratuities. You get the $100 off per couple. And you also get the wine in your cabin. Ira, if you don't mind talking about the price, I have the slide up that kind of goes over. And you know what?
Sure.
I also put this slide in here since I last showed you. So if you want, when you talk about the pricing, then I'll go here just to show
Okay.
the cabins. Okay.
Sure, absolutely. It's really small on this slide, so I apologize for that. This is the flyer. Some of you have seen this flyer. I'm happy to get it to you, but just to give you a general idea, if you don't do the pre-Prague or the Budapest, and you just do the tour, the cruise itself, the price, the discounted price is $28.99 per person plus port taxes. Port taxes are about $210 a person, but there is, as Denise said, the special of that we're having for the next 2 weeks of an additional $50 off per person. So that brings it down to about $28.49 for the standard cabin. Which, if you want to go to that, that's the one on the left.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a couple already booked in that particular category. That's category D and E.
Yeah.
So that's what that one is. And if you go to the panorama suite instead of 2849, it's around 4400. I don't have it exactly in front of me. It's around 4400 or so um, for the panorama suite, and that's plus the port taxes as well. Um, the if you don't, and Francina and Denise, keep me honest here. If you don't divert from the itinerary, and you fly in when you should, I believe the transfers are included as well. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. If you take our air, transfers are included.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
if
you
you
can
take
get
air,
in early and drop your bags and you could just take in the town. So you can come in whatever time and drop your bags and go. I would highly recommend at least doing a pre-night, just because I told you I was on this cruise trip. I was amazed that the whole group made it on time, no delayed flights, no lost luggage. It was a miracle, but you just never know. So it's good to kind of buff yourself with an extra day, just because of the time change. Just get yourself acclimated. Plus you have another day, just to kind of get it together, get a good night's sleep, and then you can start the next day. And then if your flight is late, and then you're not stressing about missing out. Just a little thing about the cabin on the left-hand side. Those are your D's and E's, like Ira said. Those are 172 square feet. It's actually a really good size cabin, and there is a lot of light coming in. You just don't have that floor to ceiling sliding glass door. So it really depends. The cost and how much you want to spend. One thing I realized with this promotion, the $1,000 off, it doesn't cover the whole upgrade, but almost. It knocks off $1,000 when the upgrade is what is it, $1,499. So it almost covers your upgrade to the category B, which is nice. But we do have the D's and E's available, and the cabin that's on the right, that's your panorama suite. That's your A, your B, your P. They're all the same cabin. It's just where you want to be on the ship. If you want to be near the club lounge, which I always like to be right near the club lounge with the cappuccino maker, that is your P category. If you want to be more near the dining room, the lounge, those are your A's and B's. So your A's and B's are the middle deck. I prefer the top deck just because it seems to be brighter and you've got that club lounge back there. So when you guys, whenever you guys are ready and you have some questions, please reach out to Ira. I put this info here, Facebook, your phone number, your email address. And if anybody has any questions,
you're welcome to unmute and ask some questions. We should say, if you do fly in and you don't fly into Prague, I believe you will fly into Munich, and it's about
right.
an hour and 25-minute transfer from Munich to Wilshofen.
Yes.
And obviously, when you depart Budapest, you'll be flying out of Budapest. If you do the pre-night in Prague, the 2 pre-nights in Prague, the package is amazing. It's only $589 more per person. And that $589 gives you the 2 nights hotel, the touring in Prague, and I'm not sure you mentioned this, Denise, there's a stop in Regensburg as well, Regensburg, Germany, which is a
Right.
UNESCO World Heritage Site as well, and that is
Mhm.
en route from Prague to Wilshofen. So
Yep.
unless they've changed that, but I'm pretty sure that's
It
part
is.
of it
Yeah.
as
It's
well.
still in there. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
So
great, and Prague is such a great place to go. So
it
you're
is.
going over there, and if you have time, I would definitely add some extra time. You're flying all that way, right? Because a week goes very fast.
Absolutely. We hope you all can join us. And if you have questions, please reach out. Does anyone have any now before we break? You're welcome to ask anything since we have the experts on.
Man, we covered it all, I guess, huh?
Yes, so unless they don't know how to unmute themselves.
If you guys want to put it in the chat, you have that chat button up there. So if you want to put something in the chat, you can also do that.
Oh, well,
No,
you know how
all
to
right.
reach me. You know how to reach me. So that's great. We do thank everybody for joining in, and especially Francina and Denise. Thank you so much for your expertise tonight. We really do appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You
Sorry for the
bet.
technical difficulties. We will post
Thank you.
this on social media as well, so you'll get to see this again, and others who missed it will get to see it. But reach out. You've got 2 weeks to get that extra special discount, and we hope you have the opportunity and you can join us on our cruise in June.
And thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ira. It was absolutely great. Thank you, Denise, considering you
Oh,
just came back from a trip
no
abroad.
problem. No
So
problem.
fantastic. I mean, at least mine was only to Florida. Yours was